Welcome to the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast, where art and wellness collide. I'm your host, Ashley, and I am so excited to connect with you today. Now, let's jump into today's episode, ready to rock and with an open heart. Well, hi and welcome back. Today we are with a very, very special guest who I have known for my entire life. Well, no, not my entire life, but her entire life. Because this is actually my cousin. This is Alyson Dicey, and she's coming to us from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada today. She is an actress, or I guess just an actor. We don't call actresses anymore, do we? But she is an actor, and and she is one of the developers of the Girl Brain sketch comedy that is taking off in storms in Edmonton. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here today, Alyson.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, is this your first podcast? No, it's not, is it?
No, it's not, because I said a few podcasts. It's my first time on the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast.
Good. Well, you know what? We'll have to have you back one day, but today we need all of your stories. That's what we're here for today. You know, you've always amazed me because you've always been surrounded by the arts. Okay. You've got your brother is a musician. Your father is actually an extremely well-known artist, especially in Canada, but I think everywhere, really. It's, you know, you come from a very, very gifted family. And so it's no wonder that you would end up in the arts as well. But you are on this sort of different path with acting. So do you want to tell us about how that happened?
Yes, I was very privileged to grow up in such an artsy family and get exposed to the arts at such a young age. I think that's really important because it lets you see what's out there. Like, oh, maybe I could try that. And my dad's a visual artist, and he's part of a lot of artist-run centers and arts groups in Calgary, Alberta, where we both grew up. And they had a group with an artist named Don Mabey where they would trade artist trading cards. So instead of hockey trading cards or baseball trading cards, we would make artist trading cards. I think it was like the first Saturday or the last Saturday of every month. We get together at an art gallery and we just sit together. We have a bunch of art supplies and collage materials out, and like kids could come, adults could come, like professional artists or just friends could come and make artist trading cards, and then we would sit around and like trade each other, and they would go international too in the mail with art by correspondence. And I don't know, that's just one example of things we would do all the time.
I didn't even know that you did that.
Yeah, I was thinking.
See, I'm learning so much already.
Around here. Yeah, so that's one of the things we did as kids. And yeah, my brother is still a musician. He traveled and toured with his bands for a long time, and then eventually one of the places that he had toured to, he just fell in love with, and he ended up moving there to Nova Scotia. And my mom is a great appreciator of the arts, and she's always been super duper supportive too of like anything that me and my brother wanted to try out. I think we were we understood that there wasn't a ton of money in the arts, but that you better enjoy it because you got to get something out of it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah, I guess if you don't do it for the love first, then what the hell are you doing it for? Right?
Yeah, there's got to be something that you're getting out of it, whether it's like love, enjoyment, money, or orgasms.
Well, hey, but but why not?
Yeah. And you got to surround yourself with people that inspire you and that you want to actually be in a rehearsal hall with. Because for me, for the rehearsal process of a theater play, you spend more time in the rehearsal hall than you do on the stage usually. So they better be good people and they better be like team players, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you get out of it.
Holy, that's so true. And so, well, okay, so hold on. Let's go back for a second here. So, in all of school, were you part of like the theater groups and drama club, I guess, and all that kind of stuff too?
I joined the drama club, I think grade 7 I joined.
In grade 7, okay. And so if you're in the UK, that would be like year 8 here. And okay, so wow. And so you were involved then in junior high, right? When you right from when you were able to start taking drama in that way, right? That's really cool.
Yeah, I kind of thought that I would go more into the visual arts. I was really interested in being a fashion designer, actually, at first. And I loved drawing and wanted to go to more of an arts focused school. So I actually switched into a different division. And then I was able to take band and art class and drama. And then I decided, oh my gosh, drama, which I was really shy. I was like a very, very shy kid growing up. It would be hard for me to even like go to the counter at the deli or something and order something. But once I found drama and I found my voice, I found my other weirdos who were just in that awkward stage of being like 13 years old and not knowing what to do with your hands and like your voice is weird and oh my god, do I look strange? And I'm just trying to find out who I am and stuff. And I found this whole group of kids who were going through the same thing, but we were loud and proud about it. And I had some really amazing drama teachers who let us express ourselves. And then I kept at it. We went into the high school drama program and had a really influential drama teacher in high school who helped me kind of plan out what to do after high school. And there were lots of paths I could have taken, but she really encouraged me to move to Edmonton, actually, and go to the University of Alberta, where at the time the acting conservatory there was first class in Canada and really hard to get into. So I tried twice to get into it, and the first time I failed miserably, and the second time I got in. And then found my class of, there was only 12 of us for the whole year, and we spent 3 years together, whether we liked it or not.
Well, I mean, hopefully at least like 75% of it that you liked it, but
we called it, we were forced friends. We even had a song about it. We would sing forced friends who were forced to be friends.
Okay, but are you still friends? Is it still forced?
We're still friendly. I don't keep in touch like we're not like that close anymore, besties, but we do every single year, like mid-July, we all meet up, whether it's on Zoom or in person, and we just like do a little check-in of what we're up to.
That's, you know what, but that's really cool, and I think that's important. I have to be honest, and it's probably because, you know, I went to school for business, but those, I don't talk to anybody. I couldn't even name you one person I went to university with. Like, no. Now, my herbal school, different story. I'm still friends with a lot of those people, but I think that's just the kind of people that you end up rolling with, right? Yeah, different people. And
totally.
So I will say, yes, I remember you were shy and you were quiet and not in a bad way or anything. But you were. I think, you know what? I think maybe that's the thing in our family. We kind of all were, and then eventually we start to like have this voice that comes out, comes back, whatever it is. And so the fact that you were able to bring that out with drama classes, it's really special. Do you think everybody should take drama for that?
I think so, actually. Drama and or improv are amazing skills for young people. They just help you find your voice, and they help with confidence. And no matter what you end up doing, like you can become a lawyer, or you can become a doctor, or whatever you want. But those skills will help you. And some of my classmates have become lawyers, and honestly, that helped them in the courtroom, right? Because they can even just like the technical things like projecting or speaking clearly and slowly and making eye contact. Like those are really important communication skills. And you can also like, yeah, with help with that too. You can get things out of maybe as a lawyer.
Maybe. Okay. We're not saying anything here. But yeah, and so but I guess also too, even like posture and body language and things like that, or just even being able to think on your feet. Because sometimes I'm sure, even if you listen to this podcast, sometimes I'm like, wow, because I'm just so blown away by these people who've been on the podcast. And so maybe I should be taking improv lessons too. That's kind of maybe what I'm thinking.
I will say like the most important part of improv and being a good scene partner on stage is listening. So as a podcast interviewer, host, that's like the main job, is just listening and connecting what they're saying with maybe what's going to be the next interesting question. And yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well,
connections have been made. So, but so for me, I think it's been a little bit different. When I was really little, I was, you can ask anybody, I was loud and like probably very obnoxious, but then I and then I think that flipped for me, and then I went very, very, very quiet, and then I got a little bit louder, and then I just kind of like flatlined. And I think it's only these past couple of years for me that I'm finding my voice again. And even so, it's different, but I took vocal lessons last year. I went to singing classes, and it was really, really wonderful. And because it's funny because I also want to be a fashion designer, but I also have always wanted to be a singer, like always. And so taking these vocal classes was really helpful for me finding my voice again, and just, being okay with expressing myself, and even doing silly things like doing TikToks where I'm just talking about albums I like, or doing reels for my business accounts, or doing things like this. It's been huge. And if you listen to some of that stuff from like 2 years ago where I'm like, hey, yep, to now, it's like, and everybody says it too. They're like, you're a totally different person than you were 2 years ago, in a good way. So it's profound. And so I can imagine how acting in, that's me muddling by myself, but having a coach or your teacher or someone mentor you, that's going to have a way more profound impact too on just bringing that out of you.
Yeah, like some things to remember are just finishing your sentences with a period rather than trailing off, or instead of going up like it's a question, like you are much more confident if you finish it with a period or an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, like not on the page, but the way that you hear language.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's it, because I think too, it's that up talking, is that questioning, right? right? And
Right?
when people when people talk like that, then you're always kind of, you're just not sure about if they're sure of themselves, really. And you know what? I
and
think
then
I
you
do
don't
it
trust them as
sometimes,
much.
but yes, exactly. I think I do
Me
it
too. We all
sometimes,
do it, but
but when you do hear those people where it's kind of like every single sentence and maybe every second sentence, and
yeah, no,
you just
true.
you question them. So yeah, so learning how to speak is going to be a huge part of that. I would imagine that. What did your teachers do to create that kind of safe space where you felt like you could express yourself, you know, especially when you've got, like you say, a bunch of teenage kids around, and let's be real, sometimes they're kind of butt heads, right? And they're far too honest, and you're like, ouch. But creating, you know,
That's
they
a
must
really
have,
good question.
you know, like, where
And I
did you
think
decide?
we
I
have
just don't
gotten
give a
better
fuck,
at that.
right?
Yeah. I think in general, the arts industry has gotten better at creating safe spaces because it hasn't always been like that. And I've seen like a major shift towards kindness and what is appropriate and what's allowed in our spaces, because it did used to be like a break them down to build them back up kind of mentality in theater school.
We don't like
And
that.
that's pretty shitty. Yeah, because we are just, some of us are 17, 18 years old, starting theater school and just starting to figure out what it means to like not live with your parents anymore. Like, who am I? And just in a very vulnerable spot. So I think that historically it's been taken advantage of like, tremendously hard. And we're trying to foster more spaces that promote like individuality now. And like, how can you be creative with the body that you were given rather than like trying to fit into a box of like what an actor or actress should look like and the
Right.
body type and voice, and you're going to always play the ingenue, so you better look like that. And
Yeah.
So I think nowadays letting people, like, of course we have policies about basically just leading with kindness, and hate is not accepted in our spaces at all. And so with those two things in mind, be yourself and be your own individual within that. And yeah, you can be someone else every single day. Like I have young artists that I work with who have like a different pronouns that they come in with, or a totally different style that they come in with on another week, and then that's totally encouraged even to be yourself. And I think that was important for me, becoming like expressive, to express yourself. As an emerging artist in Edmonton, we have so many great festivals, and there are some, especially for youth and emerging type artists. Even if you're just coming into the arts late in your life, I think Next Fest in Edmonton is any emerging artist up until, it used to be up until 30, that might have changed, but like any emerging artist could try out a new show, or it's multidisciplinary, so there's music and art and poetry, but I was mainly into theater, so I really use that festival every year to try something new, be a part of a play, but also they had these nightclubs where you could just like read something that you wrote, or do some performance art, or just be around other young creative people, which is really good.
Yeah, that is really good. And then I would, all of that's going to foster your voice more and more as you, I guess, as you attend every year, and the more you do, really. I guess the more you put yourself out there, the more comfortable you get.
Yeah, the more you're exposed to, the more you try your hand at things yourself, the more art you can consume and be opinionated about, and the more well-rounded that person becomes. And I love working with people with diverse backgrounds where you're like, what was your journey to get here today? Like, I love hearing about that and how, I don't know, they might have worked at a grocery store and that, like, I don't know, some kind of experience there led them to the next thing, and they were like cutting hair, and then something there led them to meet this person, and that person introduced them to that thing, and then now they're working in the arts. I love those stories.
Yeah, but it is really cool. And I guess they would bring a totally different perspective to it too. And because they bring all that other life experience, then they must bring something a little bit extra special to it. Maybe not, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All those spices that you put into the recipe to make it special. Yummy.
Yeah. Like cake. Not spices in cake, but we made brownies today, so, you know, you need all the good things to make brownies. But, I love that,
delicious things.
So, okay, now this is something I'm always curious about, because it always feels like artists are just cool, like straight up cool. And they always know about all these, like, the festivals, the kind of underground things. They're just like, do you know what I mean? That effortlessly cool. Like, yeah, I know all this stuff, you know, maybe. But do you know what I mean? How, if you're looking to get into that scene, I guess is what I'm saying. How do you go about finding those communities in your town, right? If you're not like, if you've just say you've never been in the arts, period, how do you go about finding those communities, you know?
That's a really good question. But it varies from city to city and from country to country, but there's so many resources here in Edmonton that you can join a class or even put on your own show. I found in my community that ever since I moved here when I was 17, that there have always been people to collaborate with every step of my journey. If you have a little spark, a little nugget of an idea, and you're just at a party talking about it, I could always find like 2 or 3 people that would be like, oh, I want to try that too. Like, let's make a fringe show. Or like, hey, have you met my friend who's a designer? I bet you two would really get along. And then the meetings go from there, and the creative process is ignited. But and it's not always taking a class too. I think that like we get into the system, the institution, the capitalist drive that like you have to pay to be good at something, whereas that is not always the case. I don't think you have to spend money to take a class to become a comedian. You can,
Right.
There's so many open mics in Edmonton. I'm sure there are in London too. You can just go try it. And you will fail, and you're supposed to fail, so don't give up. You can just like keep doing it. And we're talking about open mics. That's like just one example, but you sometimes you see stand up and it looks improvised, but that's the secret. Is it supposed to look like they're just coming up with it in the moment? But I will bet you that stand-up has done that set about 100 or 500 times before at other open mics and other amateur nights, and then moved their way up in the comedy scene and late night scene, and now they're performing it. It looks for the first time, but they've been practicing it. So I think it's about keeping on with what you're doing too, and if you fail, to know that that's a part of the process.
How do you deal with
also
failure?
Builds you up to be a more interesting person.
Were you always good at dealing with failure?
Absolutely not. No, and I still say like I'm not. Like yesterday, I had a pretty grumpy day. I was doing an outdoor arts festival, and it was raining, and cold, and looked at the forecast, and it looked like it was going to be like that all day, and we were going to be outside all day. I was just like, this sucks. I mean, it's not a great example, but everyone has to feel their feelings, I think.
Yes.
And it's even harder when you're in a position where, say, you're going auditioning, which I don't do as much as I used to, but if you're auditioning and your livelihood, I should say, depends on someone else's decision about you, that is a really hard position to put yourself in. And that's honestly why I enjoy creating my own work with Girl Brain and with other theater companies that I work with, because I'm not like beholden to the man behind the table who gets to decide my fate.
Yeah.
I really had a hard time with that, and why is his decision more important than mine? And so now I mostly make my own art and stuff because I find it more fulfilling. But I will say, working with young artists, I can tell really, really early on, usually, if they have had failure in their lives because it makes them stronger. And it's actually pretty annoying when you're working with someone who gets defensive when you give them some criticism, because you're only trying to like work together. You're only trying to like make whatever that common goal is succeed together. It's really hard to move forward with someone who takes it personally. But yeah, what are the secret? Your question was like, how do you deal with failure and that kind of?
Yeah.
And I think it's just knowing that there's so many factors that go into whether you get the job or not, whether you succeed or not. Like, it could just be a bad night for the audience. Maybe there's just like a quieter crowd. You don't know what they're bringing in.
Yeah.
They could have also bring in what they had going on with them that day. So it might be on them, but you should never just blame your audience. It might just also be something totally different. I don't know. There's so many factors. And if you're talking about like failing at not getting a part at an audition, that's an even more complicated one, because I know now from being someone who does interviews or auditions that it's often really, really hard to make that choice. And there's just so many factors that go into it that I would just say, like, don't take it personally. It's often that, like, if I do like you and you weren't right for that part, then I'll probably have you in the back of my mind for something in the future. If like I was saying earlier, we spend more time together in the rehearsal hall, that I'm looking for fun people to be around, people that are creative and collaborative and like-minded. So I'd say just be a good person and be someone that others like to be around, and then you'll keep working forever if that's the case. But yeah, I was rambling now.
No, because no, absolutely. And that's very interesting, because I think that probably goes across every single industry. Pardon me, but if you're a dick, it's just not going to keep going. When you are, thoughtful and considerate of people, can have a bit of a laugh every now and then, it's going to make it so much easier, because people will actually want you there. So yeah, I think that is really, it's really, really smart. You want to keep the good ones around.
Keep the good ones around, and also know that, how do I say this? Like, that person that you're angry at today they might have the power to hire you at something later on. So it's always in your best interest to just be kind. Don't say anything bad if you don't have something nice to say. because in the
Listen to your
future,
mother.
that's right.
Yeah, no, that is very true. And I think the other thing that I keep thinking about here is your value or your worth or your talent or whatever is not defined by if you didn't get one role or even if you didn't get 50 roles, right? Like, you know, so for everybody listening, I was telling Alyson that I have been part of an extras agency for a couple of years and I never really did anything with it, but I got the call for this show and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I was really pumped up about it. And I was just waiting for the, if to hear whether they selected me, but they didn't. To be fair, it was probably good because I saw the character's name and it was a Vietnamese woman and I'm not Vietnamese. I'm not Asian, period. So I feel like I wouldn't have in good conscience played an Asian woman. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm kind of glad that I didn't get it. But at the same time, yeah, I was even a little bit bummed out by that, right? You know, I was like, that would have been like a photo shoot, like a few days of filming. It sounds like it would have been awesome. But I didn't get it. And not that clearly I'm a professional actor or anything, and it's not that really big of a deal, but it is that kind of that rejection. It still kind of has a slight sting to it. So, but I
Absolutely.
also know,
but no, sorry.
No, go.
I'd say auditioning is a big part of the job, and a lot of people treat it as like, just gotta get past that audition so that I can do the work. I think the work is also the auditioning. Like I said, I'm not doing this as much anymore as I used to, but I see the difference between young artists who are going, training, whether vocally or physically, hiring a coach to learn that special skill or whatever, and going to the audition. And then, like, whether they get it or not, it doesn't matter because that's part of the work. Maybe you'll meet someone in the audition hall. Maybe you'll meet someone afterwards who has recommended you because you had that special something in the room that they know another artist is looking for in their process. It's an investment in yourself and in your career to like treat that audition like it's the work. And
yeah,
I think that's important too. Every time you're on set, you're gaining some very valuable knowledge because showing up on set is really intimidating for the first few times because there's so many people. The actors are like the least important person on the set until we're rolling, right? But like just being on a set and seeing how it works and introducing yourself to the first person you see, and maybe it's craft services and they're just like, oh, you want to talk to that person, and then you meet that person. And it's such a busy kind of chaotic place, but the more you can insert yourself into situations like that, the more comfortable you can be. And then once you do book that role, that's for the big part that you're right for, then you'll be there and you'll be able to do what you came to do. You won't be like hindered by like, oh my God, who are all these people around me?
Yeah. So you'll be very well prepared then. And I think then, it just adds to you being a total professional. You know, I hear about people like Johnny Depp or whatever, big names, right? And that they'll go and they will meet everybody on set, from custodial, cleaning to caterers to lights or anybody. They'll go and make a point to say hi to everybody. So it's interesting because, I mean, you're saying, hey, get out and meet everybody. But then those big stars are doing the same too. And so I think, it shows that it's important, right? And everybody on set has value, huge value.
Yeah. I'd say everybody on set has a little bit of nervousness too. So like introducing yourself and saying like, hey, I'm Alyson, I'm supposed to be an actor today, where should I go? Like, just ask, just introduce yourself, find out who they are, find out maybe they're nervous too, and where are we supposed to be right now?
Yeah. And then I guess too, this is what I love, because everything is connected, right? And so I'm sitting here going, yeah, like you introduce these yourselves, and then you're building your network within the industry too, even if it's like
Sure, yeah.
Jill, who is an extra or whatever. You just never know who people are, where they're from, where they're going, who they are, what they're doing, what they're all about. And I think this is why I love people so much. And so, and I see, there I go. This is where I need my improv classes, but it excites me, and it sounds really cool. I'm like, darn, maybe I should be putting myself forward for more of these extras roles. But
hey, why not? If it brings you joy, like, it's pretty cool, and you will be meeting a ton of other interesting people on set. Because the famous line "hurry up and wait" is big on set. So you spend a lot of your time as an extra sitting in a chair, waiting for them to be ready for their scene.
yeah,
And in that time, probably meet some cool people.
this is true. Do you think acting has helped you make friends overall?
Mm-hmm. Oh, big time. Like, right, going back to our first thing we were talking about in junior high, where I was like so shy, and then met all my weirdos, and suddenly had a very instant friend group. And that's how I've gone through life now. Like, Girl Brain is two of my best friends, but we met through various arts organizations. Like, me and Ellie first met, and then Ellie introduced me to Kaylee. But Ellie and I did a show together, which toured across like Western Canada.
Right.
And so we spent like a whole summer together. And then during that time, like, we just were like, wow, we are
besties.
We are very similar. We complemented each other, and we had great conversations during that summer, and we're inspired to meet something. And so we decided to write a play together, a children's play.
Oh.
And then we ended up doing a fringe show. I think it was the following summer together, which was so super cool. And then in that, we met many people too, because you need a big team of people to put on a play. So we met amazing other creative people, like a musician who we're still friends with, who has recently helped Ellie produce her first album, because she's also a singer.
Oh.
And we've met like costume designers who we still work with. It's just like, you kind of build up your friends, like you build up your I don't know, your toolkit of the things you love in life. I love that person for that reason, that person for that reason. And then I met Kaylee in Girl Brain through LA, because Kaylee had moved to San Francisco for a boy.
We always move for the boys, don't we?
Well, my mother told me never, ever move for a man unless you're a very small person, and you can. I'm glad I never moved for a man. And then Kaylee did. Whatever, that's fine. She had an amazing time in San Francisco for other reasons. But she ended up moving back, and was like, oh my god, how do I get back into the acting scene? Like, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. Whereas, like, when you finish art school, you're like set up on this train, like you go to auditions, like you're networking every day, you're going to openings, you're meeting people, the artistic leaders are kind of, they have their eye on the graduating classes. But when you come in, like, oh, I'm in my mid-20s and it's been a while, but can I come like? It's a bit harder, I guess. And And so we started just Ellie and Kaylee were great friends, so the three of us would hang out a lot. We were just like talking. Oops, my handphone just fell out of my hair. Like sitting in cafes or bars or whatever and talking about our audition experiences and how we were often going up against one another because we all are the same age, we all look kind of similar.
Yeah.
We all have similar experience level. And how does that make one feel when you're like competing against some of your best friends? And and then dating at the same time was very just funny stories about dating. At the time we were in our mid to late 20s and talking about what that experience was. We just would like laugh. We would fill the whole cafe. We would just get so loud and sit there and just talk and talk and talk. And then we ended up saying, let's write some of this down. Like, it's kind of funny. And the medium we chose was sketch comedy because it was easier than writing a whole play.
Yeah.
Because they're just short little things.
Yeah.
And we ended up putting it on stage. It was fun. Yeah, the question was about friendship. Sorry.
First, I need to get to Girl Brain in a minute, but I have to say,
okay.
You mentioned like filling your basket with, with good people, with the things you like. And I really think you have been filling your basket with really wonderful people and experiences and just everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking this moment to say you are amazing. And
thank you, Ashley.
Just so you know. And so, in case I haven't told you for a while, but and so it makes me really happy. And I also think, I'm sorry, because I'm just like kind of just going sideways for a minute here, but honestly, how wonderful that you were so nurtured and supported in the arts growing up, you and your brother. It makes me really happy. It truly does. And so, yay. That's all I'm going to say is yay. It's really,
thank you, Ashley.
It's really wonderful.
That means a lot. Thank you.
And so,
the same goes for you. I think you are amazing too, because I'm on your freaking podcast right now, and that's so awesome. All the things that you've done in your life.
I probably need to have your dad on my podcast too. I mean, actually, I think I should. Like, yeah,
you should.
We should call him after.
Yes,
no, he wouldn't. You know what? I have to say, one time, your dad said to me that I was an artist. And I kind of squashed that side of me for a while, but I still think about that. And I was like 14 when he said it, and
wow.
And I still think about that and how I just felt like that was such a wonderful, wonderful compliment from him. And so, thanks, Uncle Mark. We're gonna get you on the podcast.
Do it. But yeah, it's so important like the value of our words when we're talking to young people, because you do have the power with words. Like, I think as you get older, you get more like better at finding that for yourself. But especially as a teenager, to hear that from an adult to say you are an artist, that is so validating. I'm glad that happened for you.
Me too. Thank you, Uncle Mark. And, and actually my son, Dimitri, he's an incredible artist too. Kid drawing crazy portraits when he was like 10. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, you didn't get that from me, kid. Because just incredible. And so, I think it's important. I try and nurture that artistic side, the creative sides for him. Sometimes I'm like, I just can't today, but I try my best. That's all we can do. So I want to hear about I want to hear about Girl Brain. So when did it start? It's been
Started in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
6 years ago. But it was interrupted rudely by the pandemic. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have really
going strong.
You've had incredible reviews over it. Everybody raves about it who sees it, and I haven't been to one of your shows because I rudely left the country in the start of 2019. But I haven't been to one of your shows, but when I've seen clips online, you have me just dying laughing on the floor, and honestly, because it's relatable. So you started the concept kind of because of all this dating experience all of you have had. So tell us, what is the girl brain like?
Yeah. The girl brain. Oh, the girl brain is complicated. It is not one thing. It can be even in the same breath, like girly girl, kind of like that, stereotypical, like no brain, as well as the most intellectual, smartest person you will ever meet. And I think that's what I like about it, because some people hear girl brain and they're like, oh, are you maybe you're like saying like girls don't have brain, or girls aren't smart, but it can also be so many other things. For me, it's definitely the latter, because I can't see myself to be someone with a brain. And but we also have like very individual experiences, and as a woman, we have a lot of very individual perspectives.
Yeah.
Girl brain, I guess, like it came from Kaylee. I almost called her Girly. Kaylee says sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, sorry, I have girl brain," when she's like flustered. Like, or sometimes she'll say that like if she's like excited, or like maybe she's like has the first feelings of being in love or something, like, "Oh, sorry, I have girl brain." But I think it can be used as like, yeah, I just solved a amazing engineering problem where I built this thing. I've got girl brain. Go for it.
Yes.
There can be many things.
Yes, it's true.
And girl brain, we are for all genders, I should say, because our audiences are full of all sorts of different people and lived experiences. And although we call it girl brain, that's just like because we are relate to that, doesn't mean you have to be a girl to like it.
True.
Or to connect with it. You can hate it too.
Yeah, sure, why not? Hate adds a little extra fun to the whole thing, right? You have to have haters. Yeah. You can't be like 100% loved, right?
Yeah.
That would be boring. Be super boring.
Absolutely. Adds to the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And so now I have to ask, so I think about like Barbie, where men had they had big takeaways from it, right? The Barbie movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So would men have big takeaways from the girl brain?
Yes, oh my gosh. They have.
Yeah. Did you secretly write Barbie and we don't know? No, I'm just kidding. I know you did. But...
It's a good movie, though. I actually went with Emma and Stephanie.
Oh, cool.
We went together.
I went with my mom and Sabrina and Dimitri, and we all loved it. So good.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What people do, I think we talk about mental health more than is expected, and about our vulnerabilities and like our worries and our anxieties, and how like we all have experienced this thing called imposter syndrome that we talk about a lot. And I think speaking up is scary, raising your voice is scary, saying what you feel is scary. And when we just didn't even know how many people would connect with that kind of messaging of all genders. They come and they go like, I felt that. Like, I can't believe you talked about that on stage, because like I felt that. And we'll do it in a funny way, or we'll like sing a parody song about it. So that we can all come together and laugh. But then after the show, we'll get people come up to us and be like, that happened to me, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, because now I feel like I can talk about it.
Yeah, that's huge. Then you're transforming people's life and, I mean, how they feel about themselves, letting them let go of shame that they had from those experiences, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's transformative, and it's important. I think sometimes too, comedy is that, it's that way to make things that are really shitty and really hard to talk about just a little bit easier, right? It's
I think so.
And so when you bring light to it, in whatever it may be, yeah, then everybody's like, you know what? The girl brain dealt with that. Yeah, I did too. They even talked about it on stage, and so that's why I'm going to tell you, my bestie. It's huge. I think we all kind of get stuck in that kind of, fear and shame and guilt, whatever, just way too long. And then you have those moments where you go, oh shit, you know what? We've all been through the same thing. All of us.
Yeah.
And so many of these experiences that we feel sometimes and nobody else has ever had, we've all had them,
Yeah. And people who look like they have their shit together and they're like famous and carefree and doing so great in their life, they must not have a worry in the world. Like, that's absolutely not true. We're all human. And it kind of is nice to drop that facade sometimes and just be like, I'm just me. I'm not like, take away all your preconceptions. I am just as weird and gross and wrong and I don't know, like all those things that you're scared to admit. It's kind of a relief to let go of that just for an hour or whatever for a show and just be as weird as you
Do you consider yourself weird then? Have you always been weird?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so. Whether that was at a time in my life where I was super, or still am, like anxious and worried that my weirdness would come out, or when it was at a time when I am embracing my weirdness and shouting it from the rooftop. Because it can vary from day to day. But yeah, I think I'm weird.
Yeah, I think we all are. And I think we're all just kind of navigating how to be weird in our own weird way. I really think so. It
definitely makes the person more interesting.
Yeah, but I think that,
weirdo.
When you are trying to be not weird, though, I think you're even weirder then, But
you're right.
But then you turn on those, like, creepy vibes, I'm normal, I'm not weird, and it's like, no.
I'm normal, look at my normal smile right now.
Yeah, okay there, buddy. Mm-hmm. That's not normal. So true.
It goes back to like what we were talking about in terms of like, I forget what conversation it was exactly, but we were talking about just like having good people in the room, and like those are the people you want to spend time with, those are the people you want to get creative with and make your next project with. Like, the weirdos are the ones I want to be around, and it's people that are, one of my mentors and friends, Amber Barasik, has said to me in the past that it's better to be interested than interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you're interested in something, you're like diving into it. You want to read about it. You want to like go experience it. You want to learn more about it. And if you're just interesting, we're like trying to seem interesting.
Yeah, but you're
like,
not
yeah, I know a
really.
lot about this topic. Can I tell you about how interesting I am? Because I know all about it. But if you're just like in the act of like doing that thing, I
Yeah.
think that is like the coolest
Like,
person. You know, like those are the people I want to be around.
yes,
They're just doing it because
absolutely.
they love it.
And then that goes to, which seems to be another overarching topic in this podcast. Not today's episode, but all of them. Being authentic and just truly tapping into who you are. It's, do you think that too would make you a better actor? Just tapping right into your authenticity. Yeah.
I think so, because it's surprising how universal being human is. Like, yes, when you say it that way, it's not surprising. But it's surprising
it
when
makes total sense, though. It makes total sense.
Yeah, just like living a life like you're not being watched.
Mm-hmm.
That's I guess what acting can be. Easier said than done. But to be like, notice something that's authentically the human existence, or like part of being that identifying person. And seeing that on stage or film can be really remarkable and like really like stunning to see, because they have captured a little part of what being
that essence
being
of
an authentic
humanity.
human is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we want to see. Why do we want to see that? Like,
but you know
I want you to recreate the real thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just living it.
I honestly think, though, that we are, especially on social media with all these like curated whatever's existence, I guess, we're really like, no, I just want to see what's real. I don't care about your ultra glossy shiny photos and your super snazzy whatevers. I just want to see you. I just want to see you being you. Because this over the top shit and all this weird, like, it's not good weird, it's just shit. People aren't even, they're not interested in it anymore. They're like, I want human connection. I want to know that when I see you, I get you, and this is just, here we are, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I think, and I think people are really craving that humanity and just in life, you know?
Yeah, probably more and more, like, coming out of the pandemic and, like, wanting real human connection.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. And so, you showing not just you, but your troop of girl brains, you are bringing that back to the world. And it makes me very, very happy. Yeah. What do you guys have planned?
I think we're doing it for ourselves just as much.
Yeah, but that's good too. So what do you have planned this year for the Girl Brain?
The Girl Brains, well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm also the director of a children's festival here in Edmonton called Kids Fringe. And it's part of the Edmonton International Fringe Theatre Festival.
Yeah.
And, but it's like the kids component. And so during the summers, I get pretty busy with that. So we're only doing a few things. Coming up, we have, we're part of the Grindstone Comedy Festival, which is in July. And that'll be super fun. We are opening for another comedian from Toronto named Cam Wiley, and he is so funny. It's an honor to share the stage with him. So that'll be, I think, July 4th.
Okay.
And yeah, it should be really fun, really funny and fun. And we are actually hosting the Edmonton Riverhawks baseball game this summer.
Oh, cool.
So they just had their home opener on Friday, and it's so weird. It's so funny. We're not really that sporty, but we're really getting into baseball. Like,
okay, because I think I saw something online You bought a hat. I think I saw something like on Instagram about you guys like taking me out to the ball game, and I was like, "What is this about?" And so that's so
you
cool.
know, like between the innings,
you're like a halftime show, kind of.
Well, it's even less of a show than that. We were like out in the stands talking to the crowd, maybe like doing contests or giving away T-shirts or just getting them to sing along to "Sweet Caroline." Like get the crowd like going,
all cheered up.
It's so fun, and it's really people are already so excited to be there, and the kids are like banging those like inflatable things together, making so much noise. Yeah, what are they called?
I don't know.
And you know, get to eat a 12-inch hot dog, those super long baseball hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun. It's nice. Usually, hopefully, nice weather, and you get to be outside. The baseball field in Edmonton is right in the river valley, so the view is just
beautiful,
amazing. You can see 2 bridges that go across the river valley, and then like the trees and forest area. It's so green and lush at this time of year. It's so beautiful, and to see the skyline, and then there's fireworks every night. So even if you don't like baseball, like it's just so beautiful, and you can have a hot dog and a beer and enjoy it.
Oh, so cool.
Get a suntan.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really nice.
That's weirdly what Girl Brain is doing this summer. And then in the fall, we go back to performing at the Roxy Theatre, which will be, when our first show is. We haven't like settled on dates yet, but we usually perform indoors at the Roxy Theatre on 124th Street.
Oh, so cool.
Okay. Which your fans will not know what that is.
No, but you know what? Go to Edmonton and go see the Girl Brain, because
in Canada, not Edmonton.
Yeah, London.
In the UK.
Yeah, we have, there's Edmonton and London, so you'll be back at the Roxy Theatre. That's what, in Edmonton, in Canada, not in London.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and so that'll be fall and into winter and all that?
Yeah, and actually all through the season, which is like September to May, and then then we go into like our summer season.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and then is it weekly? Sorry, I just need to know all these things.
That's okay. We used to do monthly shows, but now we're more into like 3 to 4 a year, and then we do longer runs of them.
Okay, cool. That's so exciting. And so, okay, I love that. So, if people want to find you, Alyson, where can they find you online? Online. We keep this online.
Like, are they going to come to my house?
No, not this time.
Online, the best place to find Girl Brain is on Instagram, because that's where most of our content is. And you can find us at Girl Brain YEG.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, it's our airport.
It's the airport code. Yeah. I love it.
But a lot of people use that here. Like, people talk about YEG.
Yeah.
Instead of saying Edmonton, they'll say YEG. It might sound weird to you, but it's the thing.
But people do that in Calgary too. They're like, yeah, back to YYC. And it's like, okay.
YYC. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, cool.
I don't know.
I'm going to Calgary.
So Girl Brain YEG on Instagram.
I love that.
And you can find us on Facebook. We have a website and YouTube as well. I will say that like all of us enjoy live performing better than film. We have experimented. We've worked with a film company to make like some of our content into digital, but I love live comedy best.
Yeah.
So there's a few that I'm proud of out there on the internet, so you could go watch. But you should try and come to a live show. That's where the real magic is.
It's true. And honestly, seeing you guys, all girls, all on Instagram, it always makes my day because it's just, you're always up to good things or funny things